I'm here with Coach Corey Mistretta, former athletic director for Bishop Sullivan Catholic High School, to talk about budgeting process and high school athletics. So, at Bishop Sullivan, who is responsible for the athletic budget?
And here at Bishop Sullivan, or when I was at Bishop Sullivan, it was a pretty unique situation because in prior schools that I've been in, the coaches had to submit individual budgets per team. But at Bishop Sullivan, the principal is responsible for the entire school's budget, and he does the budget all on his own. Now, he's been at the school for 20-something years, so he just kind of has a number in his head of what the budget needs to be for the entire athletic department. And so he just puts that in every year, and I don't have to worry about it at all. So whenever I need stuff for any sport at all, I just buy it. So I kind of have an open checkbook, which is really, really cool.
Nice, yeah.
And really nice, and a lot of people would not be able to do that. That being said, in private schools, we're a private Catholic school, the budgets are dependent upon the enrollment. So last year, my first year as athletic director at Bishop Sullivan, the numbers were a little down that year. So over the summer, when we were working and trying to purchase uniforms for teams, our basketball team, it was time for them to have new uniforms. So I sat with the coach and we decided what we wanted to get, and I called a vendor in and we ordered the basketball uniforms. The next day I was in meeting with the principal, and he said, hey, numbers are kind of low. What kind of uniforms do we have to buy this year? And I said, well, the only one we have to buy is basketball, and I just ordered them yesterday. Other than that, we should be pretty good. And he said, well, we're kind of worried a little bit about the numbers, so let's not buy any more uniforms unless we have to.
Right.
So I said, yes, sir. Went about my business. Well, I went back to the office and I started thinking about it. So I picked up the phone and I called the vendor. And I said, hey, can we cancel that basketball order? And he said, sure. I said, maybe we'll do it next year. And he said, okay. So then I called the principal back and I said, hey, I just called and canceled the basketball uniform order. And he said, good job. So it's really interesting. He has a number. Other than that, I've never had any problem with ordering anything. And I've never been used to spending the kind of money that we spend. And I would spend thousands of dollars monthly. And I would have to write purchase orders and bring them in. And it would be, $15,000, $20,000 worth of gear or equipment or whatever you needed. And I would be like almost scared to give it to him, and he would just take them and look at them and sign them.
Right.
And at the end of that year, we were within 1% of what he had put down a year later, what the budget was going to be for athletics. So it's really unique because a lot of schools won't have that. And because he had been at the school, he went to the high school, he went to college and went back and started teaching at the high school, and then has been principal for 20-something years. So he's pretty in tune to everything that they need. So that's unique. Other schools, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty difficult because coaches get greedy and they want all of this stuff, so they start putting these budgets together and they turn them into the athletic director, and the athletic director has to decipher it all and determine, well, okay, you can have half of what you wanted and you can only have 2 things of what you wanted, and that makes it difficult. Instead of just being able to kind of have an open checkbook and do whatever you want. And coaches come to me and they say, hey, what's my budget for basketball? And I said, well, you don't have a budget.
Right.
What do you mean I don't have a budget? Just tell me what you need. We'll talk about it, and if we believe you need it and it's needed for the program, then we'll buy it for you. No big deal. So I think it works out really good that way.
That's good. How often is the budget revised from year to year or season to season?
Again, the principal's in charge of it, so he does it annually. So when he has to submit the budget to the diocese, he goes ahead and he might look back at stuff that we've done. He might talk to me and ask me what kind of uniforms are due. And all of our teams are on like a 4-year cycle. So every 4 years, a team gets new uniforms. So he might ask me that, who's getting new uniforms? How much is it going to cost? And then he'll determine, is that kind of in line with what we've been doing, or maybe I need to bump the number up a little bit or take it down a little bit. So he does come to me and ask me a little bit about it, but for the most part, He just has it on the top of his head and he knows what it's going to be. So it's done annually. At the beginning of the, in the summertime before the school year starts, he has to submit a budget for that school year.
So do you get a lot of input from your coaches, or?
Yes, coaches will come to me, again, like I just mentioned, and ask me for certain things. And sometimes we'll agree to that, and we don't even have to worry about putting it in the budget. It's just kind of one of those regular annual operating things that's just going to happen. Mm-hmm. So if it's a guy, soccer coach comes in and he says, "Hey, I want some of this these new drill technique things, or I want some videos, or I want some mini hurdles, or we need new balls," and those are kind of things that happen annually. Mm-hmm. And myself and the principal already know that that's going to be a cost, so we wouldn't even really worry about it. But maybe somebody might say, "Hey, I need a new scoreboard. The scoreboard's broken." Now that's something that we got to talk about.
Yes, yeah.
It's a big expense,
change, yeah.
right? Or anything like that. We got to redo the gym floor, mm-hmm. or something like that. At the beginning of the year. But those would be things that during the course of the year, the principal and I would be talking about and saying, "Hey, next year we're getting real close to the tennis courts needing to be resurfaced. So we might want to start putting some money on the side." That would be kind of a capital outlay project, though. And it wouldn't necessarily go into the athletic budget. It would go into the whole school's budget, for grounds and maintenance and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much like each school is different between.
Yeah, I think if you go, you're interviewing me today, you can go interview 2 or 3 other athletic directors, and they're probably all going to be different,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I'm in a unique situation, and I really liked it a lot because you didn't have to worry about it. Although every time I wrote those purchase orders out, it was kind of anxiety,
mm-hmm.
Because I'm not used to spending that kind of money.
Yeah, a lot.
So yeah, it's really important.
Okay, well, I think that's all for today.
All right. Well,
thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Come back anytime.